I was wrapped in a blanket, curled up in the corner of my bed, ready to enjoy a special Japanese film, the kind with a kind-hearted landlady and an enthusiastic plumber, when my phone suddenly rang. It was past 11 at night. I grimaced at the name flashing on the screen, tempted to hurl the phone out the window. Finn Whitmore, my childhood friend from kindergarten through college, who calls at all hours as if he lives in his time zone. Reluctantly, I pressed the button to accept the video call. Finn's face appeared instantly, calm as if it were midday, asking what I was doing. I furrowed my brow but put on a polite facade, saying I was reviewing scientific materials for study, expanding my knowledge. Inwardly, I cursed him for interrupting me late at night. I was about to make an excuse to end the call when a mischievous urge struck me to tease him a bit. I asked if he knew Choi Kung. His face froze for a few seconds before he nodded slightly, saying it was his idol. I nearly burst out laughing, but before I could retort, a cold chuckle came from his end, the kind that sends shivers down your spine. Finn tilted his head, looking at me with a mix of mockery and suspicion, then slowly said, "Scientific materials on human sexuality, high definition, Japanese edition, right?" I froze as if struck by lightning. How did he know? Before I could ask, his screen shifted, pointing straight at the TV in his room. On that large screen, the documentary I had just started on my phone was playing vividly, with sounds so heated it felt like a public screening at a specialty theater. The scene of the caring landlady and her neighbor bonding intimately made me want to sink into the floor. I squinted to confirm and nearly fainted on the spot. It was indeed the film I'd started, but for some reason, my phone had shown a successful connection without displaying anything. Turns out, I had accidentally cast the adult film to Finn's TV upstairs. In the dead of night, I'd unwittingly become the director of an impromptu premiere. Speechless, my face turned as red as a tomato, my mouth agape but unable to make a sound. Finn, on the other hand, seemed to relish the rare entertainment, his eyes gleaming with mockery as he asked evenly, "Who are you planning to enlighten at this hour?" I stammered, trying to explain it was just curiosity, just research. But my excuse was pathetically weak. Finn turned back to the screen, his handsome face tinged with a teasing smirk, half smiling as he said, "If you're curious, come over to my place." I froze, unable to react. Finn blinked, his gaze calm, as if he'd just suggested doing group homework. "Come here. I'll watch with you. I'm curious too." I don't know why I agreed. Maybe it was the embarrassment scrambling my brain, or maybe it was the lazy challenge in his voice. I slipped on my sandals, threw on a jacket, and snuck out of my room. Finn's apartment was just one floor. Away, the dark hallway so familiar I didn't need a light to navigate the tiled floor. His door was unlocked. I pushed it open gently, a mix of nerves and confusion swirling inside me. Finn was already sitting on the floor, leaning against his bed, a small chair placed beside him as if waiting for me. I sat down without a word. We looked at each other, then at my phone. Hesitantly, I asked, "You want to watch?" Finn shrugged. "Aren't you curious?" I nodded slightly. "A little." He held out his hand. "Show me that part from earlier." Trembling, I opened the fateful film on my phone, but this time I was careful not to cast it to any device, switched it to silent, and plugged in dual-head earphones. We sat side by side, sharing the earphones, the phone's light illuminating Finn's face. My ears started to burn, my heartbeat quickening with each scene. We didn't speak, just watched in silence, but the air around us seemed to thicken. Under the table, my foot accidentally brushed against his. I flinched, about to pull back, but Finn didn't move or say anything. The faint scent of his body wash, clean, and oddly comforting distracted me. I bit my lip, eyes glued to the screen, but my mind had drifted elsewhere. That night, I slipped on my sandals and hurried to Finn's place, my head a mess of embarrassment, curiosity, and the feeling I was doing something I shouldn't. His parents were asleep, and the house was so quiet that every soft step echoed. I crept into his familiar room, practically my second home. From childhood, I'd done countless assignments here, secretly watched cartoons, and even wet the bed a few times as a kid. I pulled up a small chair and sat beside Finn. He maintained his usual lazy posture, sprawled on the floor, back against the bed, holding a glass of water, his eyes narrowing with a teasing smile. I was both embarrassed and curious. Since I'd already been caught as a fan of visual physiology studies, I didn't bother hiding it anymore. Finn glanced at me, coughed lightly, and asked with little seriousness, "You want to watch?" I nodded immediately, trying to seem calm. "Yeah, aren't you curious?" "I am." He shrugged. "All right, let's watch and learn." I nodded vigorously, as if preparing to earn a PhD in adult behavioral psychology. He teased, "Let me text my friend for the link." I stopped him. "No need, I've got it, the one from earlier." I eagerly opened my phone to show him. Finn raised an eyebrow. "Then cast it to the TV." I shook my head instantly, on high alert. "What if your dad wakes up to use the bathroom and sees? Let's sit by the table and use earphones." Before he could reply, I grabbed his arm, urging, "No more talking, let's do this." He gave me a look. "Fine, fine, what's the rush?" We sat close together, the space under the table so tight I had to tuck my legs, accidentally brushing against Finn's outer thigh. He must have switched body wash. The cool, fresh scent suited his quietly charming vibe. It was annoying how it tickled my nose. I glanced at Finn's profile, the earphone cord taut between us. I muttered, "Finn, I'm hitting play, don't you dare bail." "Yeah, whoever bails is the loser," he replied in his usual lazy tone, though it was a bit huskier than normal. His ears were slightly red. The film started. Classics are classics for a reason. Though the visuals were a bit dated, every scene and sound was crafted with care. My face flushed, my heart raced. I felt a mix of embarrassment, awkwardness, and curiosity. Finn, despite his usual teasing, sat silently from start to finish, not even shifting his position. I wanted to say something to break the awkward tension, but didn't know where to start, so I just watched timidly. Soon the main characters began kissing in a close-up shot. I don't know how they filmed it, but the sound through the earphones was so vivid it was unsettling. The ambiguous visuals, the wet sounds. I felt the air around us freeze. Cold sweat trickled down my back. I pursed my lips, annoyed, thinking, damn it, now I'm craving a kiss. Then I looked at Finn. Sometimes I hate Finn Whitmore. His dazzling presence has always overshadowed me, ruining my luck with guys. Girls my age have kissed so much their lips must be worn out, while I'm still sulking over the price of lemonade at the dorm's cafe, rising to £5 a glass. In college, I should have started dating, but no guy around me sparked any interest. They couldn't compare to that jerk Finn. Not as handsome, not as tall, lacking his lazy yet magnetic charm. He set my standards impossibly high. So, with the mindset of better single than settling, I stayed single through my first year. My first kiss still hasn't happened, and my friends tease me endlessly. So, this first kiss had to be with someone truly handsome, something worth bragging about later. For some reason, in that moment, in that atmosphere, a storm surged in my chest. I abruptly locked my phone screen, cutting off the suggestive visuals and sounds. Finn glanced at me, his eyes hiding an unreadable emotion. "What's wrong?" I scratched my palm, stammering, "I don't want to watch anymore." Finn smirked, nudging my foot under the table on purpose, his tone teasing. "You were all in earlier, now you're bailing? Didn't we say whoever bails is the loser?" I bit my lip. "I'm not bailing, just a bit bored." Finn leaned closer, the scent of his body wash now overwhelming, clouding my senses and making me dizzy. I don't know where I found the courage, but I looked straight at him and blurted out, "I want to kiss you," like the main characters in the film. Is that okay? After that embarrassing night, I had sworn off watching those adult enlightenment documentaries for good. But just a few days later, while I was sprawled on my bed, bored out of my mind, my phone suddenly buzzed incessantly. I checked it and saw my old high school group chat lighting up, inviting everyone to try a culinary experience class in town. At first, I wasn't going to bother, but the moment I saw Callum West's name on the participant list, I shot up like I'd been electrocuted. Callum was my high school crush, the one I'd poured my heart into a love letter for, only to wait in vain for a reply. Callum was the gentle, composed type, handsome, academically brilliant, charming in conversation, the quintessential heartthrob. Back at St. Mary's High School, he was admired almost as much as Finn. I remembered asking Finn to deliver my love letter, waiting a whole week for a response, but nothing came. No reply, no rejection, nothing. Eventually, I quietly let go of my teenage dreams, buried myself in studies, and assumed my first love had drifted away like that letter. After that, Callum went abroad to study, and I thought I'd moved on from those early feelings. I never expected him to return this summer. And just like that, I was like a wilted blade of grass catching sunlight, instantly revived. I typed into the group chat, "I'm in, save me a spot." Barely a minute later, Finn popped up, as lazy as ever. "I'm going too." I groaned inwardly. Why was he always like a dark shadow trailing me? The group chat exploded with excitement, the conversation circling the two biggest names, Callum West and Finn Whitmore. Someone suddenly asked, "Do you two have girlfriends yet?" Finn, true to his reserved style, didn't bother replying. Callum stayed silent for a moment before responding, "Not yet." I bolted upright in bed, my heart pounding like a drum. Still single, that meant I still had a chance. I rolled around on my bed, picking out an outfit, finally settling on a pure white dress, the kind that's gentle and approachable. I even did my makeup meticulously, light blush, a soft pink lip, and carefully applied powder just to look my absolute best for Callum. I mentally planned to make an impression today, strike up at least a few sentences, flash a charming smile at the right moment, and maybe even join the ranks of his admirers. Even better if I could make Finn jealous for fun. But life's never that easy. The moment I stepped out of the dorm, I saw Finn leaning lazily against the staircase railing, dressed in a black t-shirt and military-style pants, his tall, perfect frame making me pause for a few seconds. I shot him a glare and walked past without a greeting. Finn, unfazed, casually followed me into the elevator. His short sleeve brushed against my shoulder, annoying and ticklish. Suppressing my irritation, I said coldly, "Hey, Whitmore. 3 days without a text, not even opening my door. Who do you think you are? Arrogant jerk." He replied slowly, "I heard the school's fixing the road. Taxis can't get to the girls' dorm." I froze. He was right. The girls' dorm was on a steep hill, a grueling trek every time. If taxis couldn't reach the entrance, I'd have to lug my suitcase up the slope and to the 5th floor. With that in mind, I tossed my pride aside, turned, and grabbed Finn's arm, my voice dripping with sweetness. "Oh, Finn, you wouldn't let a delicate thing like me struggle up that hill without help, would you?" Finn looked at me, the corner of his mouth twitching in a clear smirk. I pressed on. "You didn't kiss me that night and even kicked me out like a stray cat. My self-esteem's taken a serious hit." I pouted pitifully. "So today you owe me a meal and a pack of those sweet roasted chestnuts." Finn shook my hand off, giving a half smile. "Give you a bit of sunlight, and you think you're the sun?" He stepped into the elevator, and I hurried after him. We bickered like squabbling chickens the whole way, neither backing down. At the restaurant, I switched to my gentle lady mode. I pulled out a small mirror to touch up my makeup, subtly tugging my dress down to show off my collarbone. But within 2 seconds, Finn reached over and pulled it back up. "It's dark out, and you're dressed like that?" I huffed. "I'm not wearing it for you, so mind your own business." Finn lowered his eyes, lips pursed. "Then who's it for?" I mumbled, blushing. "For Callum. He's here today and he's still single. Gotta seize the chance." Finn's grip tightened, his jaw clenched, eyes flashing with anger. "He's worth all that pining?" I nodded enthusiastically. "Of course. Callum's handsome, gentle, the #1 ideal guy in the world." Finn went quiet for a second, then his eyes turned sly as he nodded forward. "Look, your Prince Charming's here." I spun around, heart racing with excitement. But in that moment, I froze. Callum stepped out of a luxury car, walked to the driver's side, and leaned down to kiss the man there, full of affection. His eyes were as soft as autumn water. The driver, also a man, was quite good-looking. My jaw dropped, my heart turning to ice. Finn, standing beside me, chuckled gleefully, nudging me with his elbow. "See that? Your prince has a boyfriend. Still think he's the world's #1? I dragged myself into the private dining room for the gathering, sitting down as if all life had been drained from me. My hopeful teenage heart shattered into dust, the kind even superglue couldn't piece back together. I thought Callum didn't like me because our tastes didn't align, but turns out he didn't like girls at all. Not just single, he had a boyfriend. Heavens, my fleeting hopes were crushed mercilessly. If I flew to Thailand now for some adjustments, I might still make it before the semester started. Tears welled up, my heart a chaotic stampede of wild horses. Meanwhile, Finn, the jerk, sat beside me, tapping his fingers on the table, clearly enjoying the best drama of the summer. He squinted, teasing. What? One little blow and you're already out of it? I glared at him, itching to bite. You knew back in high school, didn't you? He nodded, not denying it. Yup. I nearly slammed the table. You knew and didn't tell me, letting me dive in like a moth to a flame and humiliate myself with a failed confession? Finn shrugged. Who someone likes is their private business. I couldn't just spill it. I was speechless. He had a point. But the anger still burned. I changed the subject, deeply suspicious. What about that love letter I asked you to deliver? Did you give it to him? Finn tilted his head, face blank. Don't slander me. I'm a man of morals. Morals, my foot. I grumbled. Finn adjusted his glasses, unusually serious. Look, Callum and his boyfriend have been together a long time. Very happy. Don't even think about stirring trouble. I gave a bitter laugh. I'm not that low. If I can't have him, fine as long as no other girls can either. I'll take some comfort in that. I sighed, my gaze shifting from Callum and his boyfriend. Then a thought sparked. I whipped around to Finn, eyes gleaming like I'd uncovered something earth-shattering. He froze, his hand pausing mid-air with his glass. What crazy idea now? I leaned closer, squinting slyly. If Callum likes guys, and you two were close back then, does that mean... I dragged out my words. Does that mean you like guys too? Finn laughed first softly, then coldly, then a long, chilling chuckle. He set his glass down, said nothing, just reached behind my neck, gave a light squeeze, and pulled me close to his face. His voice was calm, yet it pierced my brain. That kiss you wanted the other night? I'm game now. Let me show you whether I like guys or girls. The gathering went on as if no boundary-crossing words had been spoken. After Finn let me go, he chatted with others, relaxed and casual, as if his "wanna try a kiss" was just a flippant remark, like commenting on nice weather. Meanwhile, I ate in silence, my mind spinning, face alternating between burning and freezing, hands trembling so much I could barely hold my chopsticks. If it was a joke, I was relieved but slightly disappointed. If it were real, then I didn't dare think further. My stupid mouth, always poking, had earned me a counterattack that nearly broke my heart in two. I downed a few glasses of wine, unsure who had poured or offered them. I drank until I couldn't hear what anyone was saying, or even if Finn was still there. When I came to, I was on someone's back, the world quiet except for the sound of wind rustling through trees. Their steps were steady, shoulders broad, back straight, exuding an odd sense of safety. I say, rested my head on their shoulder, vaguely recalling the past. In my senior year, the last half, Finn suddenly moved back to his hometown for paperwork reasons. At first, I felt relieved that no one was teasing me daily, but a few days later, I felt empty. No one stole my snacks, no one pretended to nap in class only to get whacked with my book. The void grew, gnawing at me bit by bit. One cold, drizzly day, I was bedridden with a cold, and my parents were away. I took random medicine and vented on WhatsApp to Finn. He didn't reply. I figured he was busy studying. But the next day, during break, a classmate rushed in. Ellie, someone's looking for you in the hallway. I stepped out and saw Finn, bundled in a coat, wearing a different school's uniform, collar up against the wind, hair damp from rain, eyes lazily yet quietly gentle. Without a word, he handed me a bag of medicine. Take it and sleep early. Send me any questions you don't get, and I'll explain over the phone. I stood frozen, staring at his wet hair, throat tight, nose stinging. I told him, "You're acting weird today." Finn tilted his head. Weird how? Weird like handsome and warm, he smirked. Got your eyes checked yet? Finally? Not blind? I was so mad I stomped on his shoe, dirt flying everywhere. But he didn't get upset, just laughed like he'd hit the jackpot. Ace your exams, we'll go to college together. Fail, and I'll toss you in the trash. Then he turned and left, his lanky figure fading into the cold rain. That same back, now carrying me down this quiet street. The morning after, I barely washed my face before bolting upstairs, ignoring my mom's nagging from the kitchen about how a proper young lady shouldn't reek of alcohol. I headed straight to the Whitmore apartment and knocked. Mrs. Whitmore was watching a soap opera, giggling without looking away from the screen, just nodding for me to come in, saying Finn was in his room. Without thinking much, I pushed the door open as I had countless times before. But this time was different. Finn had just stepped out of the bathroom, hair dripping wet, shirtless, wearing only gray sweatpants. I froze. I'd read somewhere that guys in gray sweatpants have the same lethal charm as women in black lace stockings. Now I believe it. Finn paused too, his eyes meeting mine with slight surprise but no panic. He quickly turned to grab a shirt, his movements a bit clumsier than usual. I scratched my nose, trying to act casual, and blurted out something dumb. "Why are you showering so early?" Finn glanced at me, deadpan. "It's hot." I was sweaty. The room's atmosphere turned weird, awkwardly stifling. I tried to break the silence with a dramatic remark. "Finn, you're getting more chiseled by the day, hotter than the leads in those documentaries I watched." His hands froze mid-motion as he pulled on his shirt. He turned, eyes narrowing, voice lower. "Thanks. Came here this early just to mess with me? Spill it? What do you want?" I hesitated for a few seconds, then stepped closer, fidgeting with my sleeve, feigning shyness. "That thing you said yesterday, about kissing me to prove you don't like guys. Was that for real?" Finn frowned. "Not real. I'm straight as a steel pipe." My face fell. He was teasing me again. "Oh, fine. If you won't try with me, I'll find someone else." I turned to leave, but sudden, hurried footsteps came from behind. Before I could open the door, someone shoved me from behind, slamming it shut. I spun around, startled, to find Finn right behind me, his face cold, teeth gritted. "Damn it, I'll kiss you." "Happy now?" I stood frozen, mind blank. Whether angry or flustered, Finn grabbed my wrist and pulled me to sit on the bed. Outside, Mrs. Whitmore's laughter from her show echoed. Inside, we sat face to face, speechless. The vibe was like that night we watched the film, except Finn's ears were redder and he seemed less gruff than usual. I poked his leg, trying to ease the weird tension. "So, you gonna make the first move, or should I? Whatever. Normally, is it the guy or the girl who starts?" "Never kissed before. How would I know?" "How about we watch the documentary again for some inspiration?" Finn took a deep breath, like he was suppressing something. "Watch your head." I laughed, watching his face slowly lean closer. His hand braced on the bed, muscles defined, veins popping, his breath brushing my face. In a hazy moment, his lips grazed mine. A quick, light touch, like a breeze over water. Finn's mouth may be sharp, but his lips were surprisingly soft. Before I could process it, he pulled back, sitting upright, voice hoarse. "Kiss done." I blinked, dazed. I said a real kiss, not a peck on the cheek. "A real kiss? Keep dreaming." "Why not?" Finn shot me a cold look. "That's for my girlfriend." "Are you my girlfriend?" I flinched, mumbling, "No." "Then why would I kiss you?" That day, no matter how much I begged, Finn refused to kiss me again. His face darkened, like someone had stepped on his sore foot. Mrs. Whitmore knocked, thinking we were fighting. I pouted, slumping. If I were Finn's girlfriend, he'd probably treasure me like a gem. But me? Just a childhood friend, still an outsider. If Finn got a girlfriend someday, I'd lose the late-night calls, the casual meals together, the shared movie nights, the help with luggage, and the medicine when I'm sick. We'd become strangers, all because of some third person who didn't share our past. The thought squeezed my heart. The emptiness from senior year when Finn transferred schools flooded back, choking me. The last days of summer break, I holed up at home, no longer joking or teasing Finn. He didn't reach out either. I'd occasionally spot him playing basketball in the complex's court or bump into him during evening walks. But he just passed by silently, like we were strangers. On the day we returned to school, he helped carry my suitcase to the dorm, then left without a word. I stood there watching his back, feeling an unbearable hollowness. My roommate noticed my daze and asked, "Did you and Finn fight?" I shook my head. "No, I just think it's time to keep some distance. He'll get a girlfriend eventually. We'll end up strangers." In the final days of summer break, I stayed cooped up. No mood to mess with Finn. He didn't seek me out either. I'd only catch glimpses of him playing basketball or passing by during evening strolls, always with a cold glance. Even when school started, he just carried my luggage to the dorm and left. I stood there, lost in the void. My roommate, curious, asked, "You and Finn fought?" I shook my head. "No, I just feel we should keep some distance. He'll have a girlfriend someday." We'll end up strangers? Friends should act like friends. She looked surprised. I thought you two were in that ambiguous phase, about to cross the line. I scoffed wearily. Ambiguous? We've been like this since we were kids. He teases me. I snap back. I annoy him. He smacks me. Always chaos. We've just toned it down as adults. She froze. No way. Finn looks at you like he's shooting sparks. You don't feel it? What hot guy has time to bring you milk tea, milkshakes, or fried chicken at midnight? Always sticking to you, only drinking the water you hand him? That's not liking you? If it were anyone else, they'd be picking out. Houses near campus for their kids' school by now. I sighed. Like me? Impossible. You don't know, back in high school, he told someone outright he didn't like me. My roommate was stunned, and I sank deeper into gloom. Having someone like Finn around, a constant presence through every moment since childhood, it's natural to like him. But in sophomore year, because we bickered so much, a teacher thought we were dating and called Finn to the office. As I pushed the door open, I heard him say coldly, "She doesn't like me." We're not dating. That moment hit me like a bucket of ice water. I buried my budding feelings, heartbroken, and turned to chasing Callum West. In the end, I got neither. I hated my luck. My roommate's words only worsened my mood. I lay in bed, opened Finn's chat, feeling both angry and sad. I accidentally tapped his avatar a few times. Finn sent a deadly question mark. "Who's this?" Embarrassed, I explained. "Misclick." He didn't let it slide. "No, I mean, who are you?" I knew he was poking at me for ignoring him lately. Done with the Cold War, I threw myself into apologizing. "I was wrong. Can we stop this? I'll treat you to food tomorrow." Finn finally relented. "Not tomorrow. Gotta grab elective class spots." I remembered. "Oh, right. Can you pick the basketball class with me?" He replied. "Don't you hate basketball?" I shot back. "I want to play with you. Plus, with you teaching, I'll ace it." Finn called me out. "Bro." I teased playfully. "Finn Gege, you're the best." He replied curtly. "Scram." The Cold War officially ended. I gripped my phone, letting out a long sigh of relief. If he doesn't like me, fine. At least we still have our friendship and bond. We returned to our usual routine, bickering daily on WhatsApp. But with the start of school and the guys' and girls' dorms being far apart, we couldn't meet for a meal. Our next encounter was at the first basketball elective class. I arrived to see Finn already there, shooting hoops with other guys, relaxed and effortless. His lazy charisma was magnetic. I looked around, surprised by how many gorgeous girls were in this class. Tisk, this little bear still drew every girl's attention. Suddenly, Finn turned, spotted me, tossed the ball to someone else, and came over, slinging his arm over my shoulder, heavy and warm. My freshly tied hair got messed up, looking like a disaster. "I am your little mannequin now." "Don't want to be my mannequin?" "Huh? Want me to teach you basketball?" He said, ruffling my head, making my hair even messier. No one would believe he liked me like this. I bit his hand to escape, angrily retying my hair. Finn stood there, staring like my hair tying was the most fascinating thing. "Why do you keep staring?" "Nothing, just want to borrow something." "What?" "That little elastic on your wrist." Confused, I handed it over. "What for? Tying your hair? Not leg hair, right?" "Mind your business. Go check in." He dragged me to check in. The black elastic with a pink heart stood out on his wrist. His ears were slightly red. The elective class wasn't strict. The teacher outlined the semester requirements and let us play. Finn pulled me to a quieter spot and started teaching basketball, throwing out jargon that made my head spin. I wondered why I endured the heat just to be with this jerk. Why not pick a chill class? Why dive into this headache of a sport? But I'd chosen it, so I had to try. Finn acted like a boss, sitting in the shade, occasionally mocking me. "Didn't eat? Zombie mode? Can't bend your knees?" Furious, I was about to chuck the ball at his face when a pretty girl approached Finn, shyly asking, "Finn, want to catch a movie after class?" "Nope." "Why not?" Finn raised his wrist, showing the pink heart elastic. "What do you think?" The girl flinched, gave an awkward smile, and said, "Never mind. Sorry for bothering you." I hugged the ball, turning away quietly. I'd read online that guys wearing a small elastic means they have a girlfriend, a symbol of love. After the girl left, I slowly approached Finn, still hugging the ball. He sat in the shade, glancing at me, eyes dark. Done playing? Taking a break. So lazy. Don't beg me for help at semester's end. He teased, but I wasn't mad. I just looked at him, took a deep breath, and stayed quiet. The girl left, and I slowly walked toward Finn, hugging the basketball. He was sitting under the shade of a tree, the late afternoon sun filtering through the leaves, casting warm golden streaks across his shoulders. His short hair accentuated his high neckline and slightly flushed skin from playing. I sat beside him, the ball rolling once before stopping by my foot. Finn glanced at me, his eyes calm like an autumn lake. Done playing? I nodded, pursing my lips. Yeah, tired. He leaned back lazily, hands behind his head. So lazy. Don't come crying to me for help at the end of the semester. I chuckled softly, twirling a blade of grass in my hand. I looked at him, hesitating for a few seconds before asking, Finn, I've always wondered, we've known each other so long, have you ever liked anyone? He didn't answer right away, turning to look at me, his gaze deep like a midnight lake. What do you think? I tilted my head, my eyelashes fluttering. I think you have, just a gut feeling. He gave a faint smile, chin slightly raised. Yeah, I have. I flinched slightly. This wasn't his usual dodge or teasing. He was serious. Do I know them? Finn raised an eyebrow casually, glancing at me. Yeah? I was even more surprised. Really? Who? He didn't answer. I propped my chin, pressing on. What kind of person would make you like them? Digging for dirt now? No, just curious. You know you're a big deal at Riverside College. What if I'm on that person's blacklist? Finn smirked. Careful, huh? I leaned lazily against the tree, watching the sunlight dance on the ground. If you don't tell me, how will I know if I have a chance? Finn froze. A gentle breeze rustled the leaves. He lowered his head, fingers fidgeting with the black elastic on his wrist, the tiny silver heart glinting. I raised my hand, my fingertips lightly brushing the elastic. You use my hair tie to turn down other girls. What does that mean? Finn looked up, his voice dropping low. It means I've got someone in my heart. This tie's for keeping them close. I paused, my heart suddenly racing, my eyelids trembling. I forced a casual laugh. Makes sense, claiming your territory subtly. He didn't respond, just lowered his head, toying with the elastic. I leaned my head on his shoulder like when we were kids, my voice soft as a breeze through the leaves. Finn, do you like me? His shoulder tensed for a moment, as if frozen. After a long pause, he nodded slightly, whispering, Yeah, I do. His words hit my chest like a warm current flooding a parched heart. I turned, seeing his ears flushed red. Finn stayed still, not looking at me, but his hand on his thigh clenched slightly. I stayed quiet for a moment, then asked softly, Since when? Still not looking, he replied, A long time. I smiled, a tiny smile that only I could feel. Something in my heart clattered, like beads spilling from a sealed box. Finn continued, almost mumbling, But so what if I like you? I turned, tilting my head to look at him. He sat there, high nose, long lashes, hair slightly damp with sweat, the sunset casting our shadows on the court. I said nothing, just gently took his hand. His palm was warm, slightly dusty, but it felt like the warmest hand I'd ever held. After that elective class, our relationship entered a strange new phase. Neither of us mentioned the confession or labeled what we had. But it felt different, very different. He stopped messing with my hair in front of others to tease me, instead adjusting my backpack straps every morning. He no longer pinched my cheeks and ran off, but quietly left a milk tea on my desk during afternoon classes. And me? I stopped poking at him when he frowned. I noticed he always wiped his wrists first after basketball, so I bought wet wipes and kept a pack in my bag. I didn't say anything, just handed them over when he needed them. Finn didn't thank me, just gave me a look and tucked them into his pocket. One weekend afternoon, I passed the sports field and saw Finn sitting alone on the bleachers, collar unbuttoned, hands behind his head, sunlight glinting off his soft hair. I froze for a few seconds, then climbed up to sit beside him. He didn't look at me, just asked, "Skipping gym class again?" "Nope, I'm off today." "You?" "Bored, so I came out for some air." "Oh, what's the air taste like?" Finn glanced at me, laughing out loud. He turned, his smile lingering. "You're getting good at saying things that catch people off guard." "Am I?" "Let me try another." "Finn, I'm hungry." He stood up immediately. "Come on, I'll take you to eat." We went to the noodle shop near campus, ordering 2 bowls of level 2 spicy noodles like always. After eating, Finn pulled me to walk around the small lake behind the dorms. Dusk was falling, golden streetlights flickering on. I looked at our reflections in the water, feeling an overwhelming calm. "Hey, Ellie," Finn suddenly called. "Hmm?" "You never answered me." "Answered what?" "That day, I said I liked you. You didn't say anything." I stopped, turning to face him. "I thought you'd say it and run like always." "I didn't run." "Not this time." "So, what do you think?" I looked into his eyes, my voice serious. "I like you too, Finn." I was just scared that saying it would change things. Finn smiled, not dodging this time, and took my hand. "Then let's not go back to how things were." I nodded. His hand was warm, the lights were warm, and my heart warmed too. That night, for the first time, I opened my phone and changed Finn's contact name from Finn the Jerk to my Finn. The next morning, as I left the dorm, I saw Finn waiting under the maple tree by the gate, hands in his pockets, eyes fixed on the 3rd floor where my room was. When he saw me, he raised a hand to wave. I ran down, and he asked, "Eaten breakfast?" I shook my head. Finn held out a bag of bread and a yogurt. "Mom made it, still warm." I took it, held his hand, and we walked together toward the main building. In that moment, I thought, it didn't matter if this relationship had no name, as long as every morning I opened my eyes and knew he'd be standing under that tree. Like a habit, like an unspoken promise, like the youth we dreamed of, now real.